Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Gas Shocks, home of the 116 Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup. Hoddy Tyres, find the best tyres for your vehicle, supplying all the top brands to keep you covered in every season and every condition. Tarox Brakes, the art of slowing down, precision engineered in Italy for ultimate performance, and specialised automotive services, specialists in high quality automotive maintenance and classic car restoration. You can find the details of all our proud sponsors for this episode in the show notes. I'd like to introduce the Backseat Driver, the first person I've ever met who still owns a Wartburg, or Wartburg as we used to call them in England. Ex-works rally driver and the owner of Simpsons Skoda. In this part of the world, in the north of England, you mention Skoda and the Simpson name is inexorably linked. I think they've been around as long as Skoda at times. But Neil Simpson, rally driver, welcome to the Backseat Driver.
Thank you, Mark.
The Wartburgs, how did that come about? Because, I mean, they were a fascinating car, weren't they?
Gosh, yeah, well, thank you for that. Some introduction you've made for me there. Yeah, so how did that come about? Well, when my grandfather started the business back 82 years ago this year,
Yeah.
one of the first franchises he held was Wartburg.
Yeah.
And there was a good reason for that, because coming out of the Second World War, obviously Colne, Nelson and Burnley were all mill towns.
Yeah.
And he saw the opportunity for a very cheap family-sized car that would be ideal for the community at the time.
Yeah.
And he was very successful selling them. And I got the opportunity to buy one a couple of years ago. It's a very early one. It's even the right colour. It's like a very sort of dark beige colour.
Yeah.
And left-hand drive and all the rest of it. And I thought, well, do you know what? Let's have that for the collection.
Yeah.
Because it's symbolic in terms of where the Simpsons business
Yeah. Do you drive
started. I drove it. I did a classic car event in it last year. And that's the first time I've driven it. It was quite an experience, to be fair.
Because they have a peculiar, like, freewheeling system on them.
Yeah, they have. They're a two-stroke engine with a freewheel, so there's no engine braking or anything like that. But it's an experience.
And the other thing, Simpsons, before I went on air, were saying Simpsons at times seem to have championed the underdog. Because a lot of the brands you sold at times have been standing jokes. And then over time, they've been proven to be not a standing joke. They've been damn good cars.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, obviously, Wartburg was the first one. And like I said, Grandad saw the opportunity in the Colne and sort of Nelson area after the war for a cheap, affordable car for growing families and the like.
Yeah.
And then when they stopped, they were actually banned from coming into the UK because they smoked so much. So Grandad had to find a replacement, and that's when Lada came on the scene from Russia. And they were a cheap alternative to a Wartburg, seen as somewhat better than a Wartburg, but nevertheless still a cheap car and ideal for local people.
Yeah.
And I remember,
like a T32 tank.
That's it, absolutely that, yeah. But I remember my grandfather once saying, a customer said to him, Edgar, if I buy this car off you, it's only £2,000 now. What will it be worth when I come and sell it back to you? And he said, nothing. It'll be worth absolutely nothing. And there was people sort of went, all right, okay, at least I know where I stand.
But they were good cars. I mean, I think it was the Neva, the four-wheel drive.
Yeah, only available in left-hand drive. I remember my dad had one of those, a demonstrator. And yeah, it was pretty horrendous.
Orange. They're nearly all orange.
Dark green was
all right.
And you could almost put your fingers between the door aperture and the door.
Yeah.
As you were driving along, and it like rained in, and and it was brand new, you know.
Yeah.
And it did that then. So.
But once again, they go anywhere, won't they? I mean, they were a phenomenal little motor.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So, where did the rallying come from? Because is it a family trait, motorsport?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, back to Wartburg days, when Wartburg used to come to the UK to do the Lombard RAC rally. They based themselves at our dealership, the factory team.
Right.
So I think that's where the original interest from the Simpson family came.
Yeah.
And then sort of when I came along, if you can imagine, most lads and dads have a sport or an interest that they share, whether it be football or cricket or rugby or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, my father and me, ours was rallying.
Right.
And I was absolutely fanatical about it. My father used to take me spectating on local road rallies on the, round here on Saturday evenings, and then stage rallies on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And some weekends we'd go out on Saturday night, watch a road rally on Saturday night, then go out on a Sunday and watch a stage rally.
Yeah.
And I was sort of hooked on it from a very early age. I think when I was 10 or 11, my dad took me out to Belgium to watch Condro's rally. And we went out there and watched a couple of rallies, Belgium and France and the like. So it was really our thing, if that makes sense. And it went without saying that when I was old enough, I would start rallying. And I passed my driving test on my 17th birthday on the day. And I did my first rally 3 weeks afterwards.
Yeah. What in?
Talbot Sunbeam.
Talbot Sunbeam.
Yeah, Talbot Sunbeam. Did my first rally at Leconfield Airfield, 1989, Talbot Sunbeam, and finished 10th overall.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started.
Not bad at all, really, for a first one.
Well, I think the idea was, my father said to me, look, he said, I know you're into rallying, I know you really want to do this, and I know you just passed your driving test on your 17th birthday, etc. However, he said, I don't want you to drive like an idiot on the roads.
Yeah.
You've seen how all these drivers drive. He said, so what I'll do is I'll pay for you to do one rally in a rally car and get all this aggression out of your system, all this pent up desire and the like. And I think he thought I'd crash.
Yeah.
And that would be the end of it. But we didn't. And we finished 10th overall. And then the sort of press got a hold of it, and it sort of gathered a bit of momentum.
Yeah.
And then Dad said, all right, okay, well, I didn't really expect that to happen. Well done. You can do one more.
Yeah.
And we went off and did another one a couple of weeks later. Can't remember where that was, actually. And we finished 5th on that one.
Yeah.
So it sort of...
It backfired on him in many...
Very much so, yeah. It did.
So, I mean, where did it progress from there?
So,
because I conclude you'd be working for your dad at the time.
Yeah. And so I was at college doing a business studies course that I was overwhelmingly bored with. And I really wanted to work for my father. The opportunity to work for him wasn't there until sort of 1990.
Yeah.
Around 1990. And I went to work for Dad, selling some cars, working in the workshop, working in the parts department, just getting a good sort of industry grounding as it was. And we were Peugeot dealers at the time. So yeah, I just worked 7 days a week, and every penny that I earned, I saved up to do some more rallies.
Right. Dad, by this time, had decided you were paying for yourself work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he made it really clear, because what I didn't say is we went and did another rally, the third one, and then we wrote the car off.
Right.
And I sold it on the end of a tow rope in the service part and came back with an empty trailer. So yeah, that was the end of that. But it was a time early 90s when Peugeot were very focused on rallying through the Peugeot GTI Challenge.
Yeah.
Colin McRae and Richard Burns were doing that. And, that was the place to be. And I saved up as much as I could and begged, borrowed and stealed to build a Peugeot 309 GTI.
Yeah.
And went and did the Peugeot GTI Challenge in 1991.
Yeah.
And that's where the career sort of progressed from there, really.
Yeah.
We had our ups and downs doing that championship, but in, when would it be, 93, we were shortlisted for the Shell Rally Scholarship, and that had been previously won by Alistair McRae. And then in 1994, we actually won the Shell Scholarship, sold the Peugeot, and went to drive for Nissan.
Yeah, Nissan.
As part of that, yeah.
Yeah.
So we did the British Rally Championship 1995 in a Nissan Sunny GTI.
Yeah.
Run by Harry Hockley. And
Now there's a way to say him.
yeah, sponsored by Shell, yeah. So we did that. Did the British Championship in 95. 1996, the opportunity with Ford came along.
I mean, I conclude all the opportunities come besides winning the Shell Championship, etc. Any driver who, shall we say, is above average, performing above average, gets spotted. People, the manufacturers, I don't know whether they do it now because modern rallying has completely changed. But, I mean, they used to spot them. It's like racing drivers. Teams and manufacturers will make a note of, on such a body's not doing badly.
I think the difference in those days was definitely the fact that the Peugeot Challenge was very well regulated in such that everybody had the same car on the same tyres, doing the same rally. So it was the fastest driver that won.
Yeah.
And it was very, very well policed. So it was very, very tight, tenths of seconds.
Yeah.
Anybody could win any rally.
Yeah.
And so the point system was really good as well. And the bonus system for winning and the like was really, really attractive. So it was a real tangible way for anybody, like you say, the factory teams and the like, to look at the championship and go, right, who's the guy who's going to win this? Who's the guy we want then to pilot our car in the British or the World Championship going forward? And so that was a really, really good, a really, really good asset to the sport, I think. Nowadays, much different, a lot more money involved, a lot more variables, and I think these one-make series really do highlight strong competitive drivers.
I mean, so it's happening one of the podcast sponsors, Gas Shock's 116 Trophy, they're the early 116 BMWs.
Yeah.
They are with the 1600 engine.
Yeah.
They are all identical. Yeah. And it's driver ability, and they are very heavily policed to these vehicles, and it's pure driver ability.
And that's what it was like in the Peugeot Challenge. If you won, they'd think nothing about stripping your engine, stripping your gearbox. It was really, really good, and all the RAC, MSA scrutineers were very much engaged in it. There was no cheating.
Yeah,
no cheating. So yeah, it was good. And that allowed you to drive at a level that was perhaps faster than you would like at that time. There was
not a case of sitting there thinking, bloody hell, this is quick.
No, it was more a case of like thinking, I daren't lift off because I know so-and-so won't, And where you thought you were in fourth gear, you think, well, I need to leave it in fifth here because somebody else won't. So you were really, really, your eyeballs were on the dashboard, I tell you, they really were.
Who was co-driving for you this time?
Oh, gosh, who was that then? So throughout the Peugeot Challenge, that was a guy called Steve Martin from Cumbria.
Yeah.
And his brother was helping on the service crew as well. So, yeah, Steve was co-driving then. And then when we... When did we go our separate ways? 1999, we drove for Volkswagen, and then halfway through 99, Mike Gibson came along, who still co-drives from today when I do any rallies.
Right. So after that, where did you move to after Nissan?
So after Nissan, then that was a one year deal to do the British Rally Championship. Like I say, supported by Shell, and then Ford got in touch.
You'd be moving in some illustrious circles by now.
Well, it was busy times, Mark. To be fair, because I was rallying as much as I could, but I was working for my father as well.
Yeah.
So I was 7 days a week, either doing something rally related or working in the business.
Yeah.
But British rallying's a small, tight community.
Yeah.
And I made it my prerogative to get out there and be known by as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Like I said, Ford got in touch, and they were looking to build a team. Boreham and Gordon Spooner had run Gwyndath in the British Rally Championship for a few years, and they were looking to broaden the scope of preparation firms that were involved with the factory and the like.
Yeah.
And we got a deal to drive one of Gwyndath's old cars, a car from the year before, an Escort, Formula 2 Escort, in the British Championship. Again, Shell supported us, and it was run by a local motorsport preparation firm, Boland Motorsport, a guy called Philip Boland in Ellswick.
Yeah.
So Phil ran us. So there was us in one car, there was Gwyndath in one of the other cars. The Simonite sisters were in the third car, and Harry Rovanpera, Kelly Rovanpera's father, was in the fourth car.
Yeah.
And that was the Ford team British Championship '96.
Yeah. And how did you go on?
We did okay. I think when we're going, when we finished the rallies, we did well. I mean, we're lying second overall on the Manx, and the engine blew. I think we crashed on the Pirelli. Scotland, we were, I think we were lying third, and we hit a rock and broke the back axle. So it was a year of ups and downs, but it was a great learning year. A great learning year. Some fantastic rallies right on the pace at the front with the top guys like Mark Higgins, like Gwyndaf Evans, like Rovanpera. And the competition was so fierce.
Yeah,
you absolutely had to be on your A game.
I think that's the one thing with rallying. You can be absolutely flying, you can be leading, and you can be a fraction of an inch out on a corner, and all of a sudden, job's done.
That's.
And I think that's the thing. Maybe more so with rallying than circuit racing. At least on a circuit, you can see what you're likely to hit.
That's where rallying, you get your entry position of the corner wrong by 10 centimetres and you're a metre out of the other side.
Yeah.
And there's invariably something to catch you out.
Yeah.
So.
And all the while, besides Scheller, who was sponsoring you? Because I conclude that you are allowed to attract your own sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shell were great. Shell were obviously fantastic. Really, really good supporters. Proflex. Suspension. Gordon Birtwistle, he was always a phenomenal asset to us and to me personally as a driver. Who else? We had Dunlop as well. Dunlop were great. Tony Leake at Dunlop Motorsport, he always helped us out where he could with tyres and so. And the rest just from bag borrowing and scraping.
So that's the one thing, is you get better at it and you get faster at it and you move up it. It gets considerably more expensive, doesn't it, Josh?
Yeah.
And was Dad able to help, or was Simpsons able to help?
No. Dad was sort of hell bent on not helping me, and he was very much, this is your gig. Go and sort of go and make it yourself. I think the help that Dad gave me was more around the flexibility.
Yeah.
To go testing and the like. To allow me to work in the dealership on a flexible basis. But certainly no money and no support. And I worked as hard as I could selling cars. And the like, to earn as much money as I could to.
So somebody came in the showroom on a Saturday afternoon. You're not leaving until you bought one, pal.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So, how did you eventually move into Skoda and VW? Because I mean, you've been from Ford and Peugeot and everything else. I mean, they were all biggish names, but I mean, like Volkswagen and Skoda.
Well, interestingly, in order to get you true perspective on that, I need to tell you about how I came to drive for Volkswagen. So, I'd been watching what Volkswagen were doing in the British Championship since driving for Nissan, and a guy called Steve Bagnall was their team manager.
Yeah.
And they were running Golfs for various Finnish drivers, Tapio Laukkanen and the like. And I really liked the way they were investing in the car and the team that were running it. And it looked like a good place to be.
Yeah.
So I used to go down to see Bagnall. So I went to see Bagnall at the end of 95, when I'd been driving for Nissan.
Yeah.
And I knocked on his door and he said to me, what on earth are you doing here? And I said, well, I want to drive one of your cars in the British Championship next year. And he said to me, you're too slow and you're too skinny. That's what he said to you. That's what he said to him. So that was a short meeting.
That was inspired you somewhat.
Well, I was pretty furious with him, but he was quite a character. So then I went back the next year, the end of 96, when I hadn't got a drive with Ford, and I've really nothing for 97. And I said to him, look, I'm still really keen on what you're doing here, and I really want to get involved. And he said, no, you're still too slow. No, that was it. He said, you got a bit faster, but you're still too skinny.
Yeah. Go and eat some more steak bullets.
That's it. And actually, I sat out in 97, did a bit of media work and the like. But at the end of 97, he rang me to Bagnall and he said, look, we want to win the British Championship. We've got Alistair McRae and Tapio Laukkanen driving on the Manx. We want you to come to the Manx in one of our cars. He said, but we haven't got any budget.
Yeah.
We've got a car, a van, a load of spares. Come and pick the car and van up and all the spares.
Yeah.
Put your own team together, come to the Manx and finish in the top 5.
Yeah.
That's all we want you to do.
All right.
So I like,
Nothing too dramatic.
No, this is 2 weeks before the rally. So I went down to Wellingborough, picked up all the kit, brought it back to Colne, set a team up, went and did the British Championship final round on the Manx. Alistair had a huge accident early on. We were struggling a little bit. I've never driven the car before. Snapped the gear lever on the second stage, so we're stuck in second gear. And then a wheel fell off, and we were struggling a little bit. And then Tapio went out as well.
Yeah,
he crashed and lost a load of time.
Was all this improving your position?
It was improving our position, but we're still like 6th or 7th or something.
Yeah.
And the other thing was the engine was smoking. Our engine was smoking like hell. I got friends out spectating on the rally, and they said, "Oh, like Alistair doesn't smoke, Tapio doesn't smoke, but yours smokes like hell." And he said, and the problem with that was, Bagnall had made me sign a contract to say that if I blew the engine up, I'd pay for it, and 55 grand.
Yeah.
And I didn't have 55 grand. So I was slightly worried about the engine. And then the engine builder, Heinz Lehmann, came over to me and he said, look, you can get a lot more power out of this car. You're not revving it hard enough. You're only revving it to 7,000 revs. These things rev to 9.
9?
And I said, well,
what size engine was it?
2 litre.
Right.
2 litre. He says, these are all right up to 9,000 revs. I said, well, I've got a bit of a problem with that. That guy sat in the motorhome over there.
Yeah.
He's made me sign a contract, but if this engine blows up, I owe 50 grand. And guess what? I ain't got 50 grand. So I ain't going to be revving it any harder than I'm revving it. So that's the end of that. Anyway, but then when Alistair and Tapio had their problems, Bagnall came over to me and said, look, we need you to get up the leaderboard here.
Yeah.
Because we really need to win this, and you're our sort of silver bullet at the moment. I said, well, 2 things have got to happen. First of all, you've got to screw that contract up.
Yeah.
Because I ain't having that hanging over my head. So he did, and he did it in front of my face, which was good.
Great sense of relief.
That's right. And I said, you need to go through my car and make sure that we get a new gear lever, put a new axle in it, and one thing like that. Anyway, they put all the new bits on the car at service on the second night.
Yeah.
And I went out on the last day, and the car was like a different car.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was brilliant to drive. Really, really well set up.
And did his rev to 9 grand?
It did. It did, yeah. And to be fair, they kept putting oil in it.
Yeah.
It was still smoking, but it got there. Anyway, we got towards the end of the rally and we were beating Tapio. And for them to win the championship, they needed Tapio to be in front of me.
Yeah.
And a conversation took place at the TT grandstand, something like, well, if you help us out, we'll help you out next year.
Yeah.
And that was the back end of 97. And so the other problem.
Where did you finish it all?
Well, the other problem was that our car had Dunlop written all over it.
Yeah.
As Dunlop had supported us. The factory, the other 2 cars, Tapio's car and Alistair's car, were backed by Pirelli.
Yeah.
And Pirelli had just got a contract to fit all the tyres to the cars in the factory.
Yeah.
All the production cars. And they didn't want my car to be the car.
Yeah.
That went over the finish ramp and won the championship with Dunlop.
Fly Dunlop.
Yeah. So that was a problem, and that was part of the deal that I then did for the following year. I said, look, well, okay, I will slow down,
yeah,
and I will let you do what you need to do naturally, but nevertheless, we do need to talk about next year.
Yeah.
And they said, we'll definitely support you next year, and
right.
That's where my career with Volkswagen started.
Yeah, because you're also the first man to rally a diesel Volt.
That's right, because. Interestingly, when we got to the end of the Manx and we were all celebrating that Volkswagen had won the championship, and albeit we'd just done one rally with them and helped them get there, the head of Volkswagen Motorsport came up to me, a guy called Andre van der Voort, a South African guy, and he said, I want you to come to Germany to see me and talk about next year on Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
I want you there Tuesday morning. So I thought, oh, it's fantastic, So I flew out to Germany, and they sent someone to the airport to pick me up, took me to his office, sat me down and said, right, we're going to give you a diesel car to rally in 1998. And I thought, is that it? Is that what I'm going to get?
Is that all I've got?
Is that, yeah.
Well, at least you want something, they tell you it's smoking, you can say, well, yeah, it's a diesel, it will.
Thanks a lot, I said, But it turned out to be a phenomenal car. We did the national championship in it in 98. and then we did the British Championship in the later version of the car in '99.
Yeah. Just putting in, it's a bit like the time when Audi, because numbers were down at Le Mans, and Audi said, we'll run the diesel, and everybody laughed at them. Well, look what happened there.
The two programs ran side by side.
Yeah.
So it was at a time when manufacturers were talking about alternative fuels.
Yeah.
And Volkswagen Group nailed the colours to the mast and said, our alternative fuel's diesel.
Yeah.
And they went to Le Mans with the R8 TDI.
Yeah.
And they went to the British Championship with us. And they went to the Austrian Championship with Raymond Baumschlager.
Yeah.
So that's where back to your original question when you asked me how did we become Skoda dealers. Well, when I finished driving for Volkswagen in 2001, I'd been test driver for them out in Germany for 3 or 4 years before that as well. So I got a great relationship with them. And I took over Simpsons from my father. The first letter that I opened as managing director of Simpsons was a letter from Peugeot that told me that they no longer wanted me as a dealer.
Yeah.
So they terminated us. And I needed a franchise.
Yeah.
And I've built up some fantastic contacts in Volkswagen in Germany and some fantastic contacts here in the UK. And I went down to Milton Keynes and saw Robin Woolcock, who was then the head of Volkswagen Group UK, told him what had happened. I got a great relationship with him, and the talks began to take a Volkswagen Group franchise at that point.
Yeah. So was it VW with Skoda at the time?
So it was Seat.
All right.
Seat, they wanted me to take Seat.
Yeah.
And we did some business plans and the like, and I was sort of like, well, why do you want me to take Seat? And they said, well, you're a young guy, it's a sporty brand,
yeah,
and it's a good fit for you. And I said, well, I think the Skoda brand's a better fit for us because we're a family business. Skoda's a family brand. Skoda have overwhelmingly impressive credentials in rallying.
Yeah.
We're a rallying-based family and a rallying-based business, and I think there's more synergies there.
Yeah.
And
I mean, at the time, Skoda, I mean, like with John Hoagland, who is a past guest, I mean, he proved what a Skoda could do. I mean, once again, everybody, there was all the jokes and everything else, but these things went and did rallies and finished. I mean, John Hoagland finished, I think it was 51 RAC.
Yeah.
And the only thing they did was virtually put a sump guard on it, a roll cage and a sump guard. The rest of the car was showroom.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I first took the Skoda franchise, I went to the pub with some friends for a drink after work, and I walked in. I didn't tell any of my friends what I was doing in the business or anything. I put my keys on the bar, and all my friends had Volkswagens or Audis or Porsches or whatever. And I put my keys on the bar, and it's a Skoda key.
Yeah.
And I could see people sort of looking at the key and looking at me and going, has he lost the plot? What's he doing? And then, of course, I had an Octavia VRS outside.
Yeah.
And I passed the keys around. Everybody went to driving it and came back and went, oh, well, that's actually really impressive car. I can see what you're doing. And we built the new site in Colne for Skoda. And that's sort of where it all began in 2003.
Yeah. And then, because did you rally for Skoda as well?
No, I only rallied. I rallied a Skoda Fabia R5 and a Rally 2 in Europe.
Yeah.
Between 2016 and 2022. So we did various European rallies, European Championship rallies, world rallies with the TalkSport team. So I've never actually rallied for them professionally, but more used the fact that we're a Skoda dealer and rallying to promote the business and build social media likes and things like that. Now,
to backtrack a little bit, you did a lot of test driving for Volkswagen. Had you stopped rallying by then?
No, I was still rallying for them. So that was, when did I start doing that? That was 98, 99. I was asked to go and do a test on a golf kit car out in Germany. At very short notice. It was one of those.
Call is it? Can you be there tomorrow morning?
Yeah, 5 p.m. call. Can you be here at 8 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, of course I can.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'd have cycled on my bike if I could.
Yeah.
Raymond Baumschlager was doing the test driver job at the time, and he got busy doing something else, or he might have been ill or something, and they just asked me to fill in.
Yeah.
And I went and did a test, and I did a test report afterwards, and really got on well with the test.
So what if you don't mind me asking, what exactly does a test involve?
So It can be anything. So that particular one was a gearbox endurance test.
Yeah.
And that's just basically driving the car flat out all day around a rally stage.
Yeah.
Finding out where the strengths and weaknesses are of that car.
So to a degree, it's a slight bit of a case of maybe destruction testing to see
That particular
if
one
we
was,
can break the thing, and if so, why is it broken?
yeah, that particular one was. But I did all sorts of other things as well. I did the Formula Volkswagen, which was a single-seater. They were on a championship out in Europe that followed Formula One for young drivers in a single-seater. And each car had to be the same. It was a Formula Volkswagen, and they could build 2 of these a week, and there were 35 of them. And I had to go out and test every single one of them and sign it off as being the same as the last.
Yeah.
I also did the Bentley W12 engine.
Oh, yeah.
Test work for that in a Lamborghini Murcielago.
Yeah.
And did some endurance testing for Lamborghini as well. So thoroughly enjoyable times. Yeah, that's good. It's a dream job.
So in many ways, I mean, what do you do now? Because, I mean, are you still involved with rallying? I mean, doing what you do and who you are, you cannot just walk away from this sport, can you?
No.
I mean, it's like I've been fortunate to interview Louise Aitken Walker, Tina Turner, a lot of people who have had big rally careers.
Yeah.
And apart from Tina, who now has a completely unrelated job, but she's still she appears, and I know she cannot get in a rally car again because of health reasons. Mm-hmm. But I mean, she's still, none of them can ever walk away from it, can they?
You build so many friends, Mark, so many good contacts. You know, it's an amazing sport, very cohesive sport. You're right, you can't walk away, and I'll never walk away. You know, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my rallying career.
Yeah.
Both personally and in business. So I owe rallying.
I mean, just looking in, Simpsons Skoda, mentioned Neil Simpson, rallying. They are, well, I mean, they're obviously connected, but when you talk to people, one's one, one's the other, and you are rallying.
Thank you for that. I think, so yeah, how am I involved today? I'm involved with a couple of, well, they were young up-and-coming drivers and co-drivers in the World Rally Championship at the moment. One in particular, help them from a mentoring and business point of view, the business side of the sport. I do quite a bit of consultancy with some teams as well who are running in the World Championship at the moment.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that side of things because it kind of brings the business element into the sport. So I do that. Still drive from time to time as well. I don't have a car at the moment. But, you know, what's your space?
I shouldn't imagine you'll have any problems getting your hands on one.
No.
If you ask Sunday nights, it'll lend you one.
Yeah. We did have one coming, but I was too busy to use it, and so it ended up going to TalkSport and being used by one of our drivers.
Now, I mean, the thing is, you watch coverage of modern WRC on television, and they only ever seem to show the top 5. But I mean, are Skoda and Volkswagen still involved? Because in my opinion, the lesser classes don't get the exposure they deserve.
No, it's a problem, and it's a well-recognised issue across the sport just now. The current promoter is actively trying to sell the WRC to a different promoter. So hopefully that'll change things.
Yeah, because the other thing, I mean, ultimately, sponsorship. If a sponsor, if you go to the event, you'll see the car, you'll see all this. But besides that, they want global exposure, which means television, and then they just never seen, which is terrible.
No, terrestrial TV is a struggle. I think when the new promoter comes in, you'll see a lot of changes. I'm hearing a lot of really positive noises coming from there. Certainly Skoda still very much involved in WRC2. Been WRC champions year after year with the Fabia RS Rally 2. The team that run that, TalkSport, my friends out in Germany, are one of the teams that I do some consultancy with. They've always run my cars for me as well. So yeah, very, very much involved. And of course, the new regulations coming out now. It may be, you never know, that they'll build a Rally 1 car. Who knows? Let's keep our fingers crossed.
And what's your view on modern rallying? I mean, like, you watch the latest, what you see on TV, and I described it's like a form of 3D PlayStation. Other computer games are available. But it's getting to the stage, in my opinion, where the cars and the drivers are maybe getting too fast for each other. I mean, they banned Group B because it was too fast, and the modern WRC car,
A lot faster.
is immeasurably faster than all.
But the safety is of paramount importance, and you know, I've sat in one of these latest WRC1 cars, and the safety cell, the protection for the crew.
Yeah.
You know, technology's moved on massively since the Group B days. Tyre technology, suspension technology, the amount of downforce these cars have, the amount of grip these cars have, is just astonishing.
Yeah.
I was chatting to one of the WRC co-drivers in Monty, who's recently just gone into a Rally 1 car, and he summed it up for me. He said, Neil, coming from WRC2 to WRC1, it's like a different sport. That's what he said to me. It's like a different sport. The speed, the downforce, the technology, everything involved in a WRC1 car is a step of the WRC2. And don't get me wrong, I've rallied WRC2 cars. They are really quick. Yeah. Really quick, phenomenal technology, great to drive, but the WRC1's a different level. And
have you driven one?
I haven't driven one, sadly. No. If anybody wants to give me a driving one, just give us a so I'll get that on my bike. Yeah, for sure. Amazing. But the sport does need to change. The sport needs to become more commercialised, more accepted. Yeah. And I think the new regulations, cars being more affordable, manufacturers becoming more engaged, more manufacturers, constructors are now allowed to come and enter the championship. I think the sport's got a bright future. We're just in a place at the moment whereby there's a little bit of uncertainty which way the promoter's going to move, etc. But I've got high hopes for the sport going forward, really.
And with any luck, England might get a big rally back.
Oh, gosh, isn't it? It's catastrophic that we don't have a round of the WRC, isn't it? But you know, I mean, one of the toughest rallies on the calendar was always the Rally GB, Wales Rally GB. I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't come back.
Yeah, it would be nice to see because we do need it back. I mean, England gave the world some incredible rally drivers.
Indeed.
Is it giving the sport incredible rally drivers, or are the British drivers struggling these days?
Well, I mean, you know, look at the top of the WRC. You've got Elfyn Evans there. Yeah. And you know, he's been perhaps the most unlucky British world rally driver. Sometimes he's been second on the WRC championship. Goodness knows how many times. He absolutely deserves to win it. And then you've got your up-and-coming guys like John Armstrong and like Josh McAlern. Yeah. People like that coming up through now. It's just so difficult, Mark, for these guys to make the step from WRC2 to WRC1. Yeah. You know, you're relying on the likes of M Sport and Malcolm Wilson and Rich Milner there, and their programs that they put together for these young drivers are just fantastic. There's no other way in. Yeah. And you look at the drivers that have come through M Sport and come through that program and that structure, like Thierry Neuville and people like that. You know, a lot of the top drivers have been there at some point, and I hope that remains.
And are we likely to see the Simpson name back up in lights at the top of the sport again?
We've got some plans. Good. I can't say too much about them just at this moment in time, but you know, it'd be wrong of us not to be involved, wouldn't it?
Neil Simpson, thanks very much for joining me on the Backseat Driver. You're somebody I've wanted on as a guest for quite a while, but tracking you down is damned hard work at times.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Mark. I don't normally like Backseat Drivers, but this has been all right.